What's that? Okay. I'm gonna call to order the Charter Review Committee for the 22nd of May at 6 o'clock. I'm here, Councilmember Lepari-Shu.
Hello.
And Councilmember Carson.
Here.
Also our city administrator here is well, appreciate that. Did anybody have any changes to the April 20 minutes that we had?
No.
Okay, hearing none. So we're back to our topics of term limits. We did send one to the city yes, boy. Our city attorney. I just want to, our wording on it is a member of a board or commission who was previously ineligible for appointment secondary to having served 3 consecutive full terms of office shall be eligible for appointment after a period of 3 months with documentation of a reasonable effort to fill that office having been made, including the attempts to solicit 10 potential candidates. That is what we came up with for C17, sub 1.
The only thing I would add is that you actually read both times. You said appointment, not reappointment.
Oh, excuse me, reappointment. Sorry. Well, I'm not reading it again. So anywhere where I said appointment, it's reappointment.
Just twice.
Sorry about that.
We have it on paper here too, so.
This does go to the city attorney. The city attorney did send it back and said that he has no problem with that. So is this something, you gotta think, this is gonna take C17C, sub 1. So this is gonna knock out what's already there about just the term of office. In boards and commissions of just being 3 years consecutive, can't serve more than 3 years a consecutive term. I know this is one of the contention areas, so if everybody's still happy with that, we'll make that recommendation and send it up to the council. You got any more fine tuning you would like, or, I would just, cause I was just, we're calling it sub 1, but just underneath the, completely take that term of office out, scratch that whole thing and put this new one in.
So you want C removed and replaced with the new language?
Yes, that's what I was thinking we were doing. Or do you want, oh, okay, hold on, so let's, no, we're gonna need this as, you're gonna have to leave the regular C there, and then this is gonna be the sub 1, this is gonna have to further define it. If we strike the other one out there, it's
Correct.
not gonna work, so I have to back up, sorry about that.
So this is in addition.
This is an addition to, yes. So you'd still have the term of office of the boards and commissions shall be not more than 3 years. And then you have your sub 1 right after that paragraph. That's how I take it. Is that how you guys take it too?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Give my charter all sorts of marked up here. Okay, so it's under. Okay, we can move that up to the council and see what their opinions are.
Sounds good.
So is there any, yes,
Sorry. For clarity, when we take this up to the full council, could we just have all of C that's in there now,
Yeah.
and then this,
And repeal and restate the whole section.
right, maybe just a different color font, not necessarily red, but maybe a different color, so then they know what was original than what was added. That way we avoid what we just did. Sorry.
no, you're good, no, that's a good suggestion. thank you for that.
So typically, when this goes on to the council, it'll go on in its final format laid as a proposed ordinance. Are you good with two separate documents, the official document which lays the ordinance for review, and then a second document attached to it showing original versus new?
Given the timeframe, Carrie, this would be the second meeting in June, given the holiday and
We have the extra week, so it'll make it.
the holiday count in that.
It counts, but there's still, I think, like a 4-day cushion because we have the extra.
Oh, is it 7?
7 days excluding Sunday and holidays. Unless I mail it, snail mail back.
Does anybody else have anything on term limits that they would like to talk about right now? Since we're on term limits.
I think we've decided not to do elected.
We can talk about it. I'm down with that. That might actually be good since I would have if it's opposing a different view on it, and now we have to get some discussion out of it before anything is announced. It's fine.
Well, so I guess the first one would be C15, which is the mayor. Um, Thoughts on term limits on a mayor?
I think I'll go first since I'm kind of the rare bird over here. I think that it will be tricky because that office requires such a specific set of life circumstances, like it doesn't pay very much. It's technically part-time, but no mayor that I'm familiar with has ever done it part-time. I think that we need to consider it as a whole, like, if we're gonna put term limits on it, I don't know, the candidates for that position are already pretty slim, so that would be my consideration with that. It's not to say that I'm opposed to it, but I think that there are challenges.
I don't see this, we discussed this the last time, and there's only been a couple that have actually went back to back. I don't think we've seen a triple since Mayor Brennan, so I don't think it's gonna happen that often.
Yeah.
So I don't see a need to put term limits on the mayor.
At this time,
Just figure we're in term limits, we can discuss it and
sure. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it, but I think just talking about it practically, I don't know that it's like,
Even council, I mean, it's to dedicate the amount of time that you gotta put into these meetings, kind of vague. It's difficult, I think. Other than Dave, I think you would have to go back a ways to see somebody that has done 3 terms.
I think the only one before that was Asa Allison. I can remember.
Yeah, he stayed on for a long time.
but again, like elections to, I mean, I guess you could say that about appointments to boards and commissions too, but elections are kind of that proof of concept, like there is a check on it, so it's not like once you're elected, that, you know, you're just free to go till you're 100.
And if the people like what you're doing, they reelect you. Yeah, I just, like I said, I've always been a fan of term limits, so I'm like the oddball guy out in that. But it's go with what the committee wants, so, I mean, I can see it both ways.
Yeah.
You know, right now we're struggle to get candidates to run for office, you know, so.
Yeah, and there may become a time where that, makes a certain amount of sense. Cause I agree, I think, getting new ideas in there, the election process theoretically is what should be generating that.
Alright, so no for us and the council, or I guess no for the mayor and the council,
Mm.
I think at this time,
okay,
leave it as it is.
okay. I did wanna back up, we did pass the one with the ad hoc committees and stuff and trying to come up with, to work with the mayor and stuff like that, with the language that originally brought us here. I just wanted to kind of set up a little bit where it says removal of board of commission members. And it says the mayor may remove the mayoral appointee to any board or commission and shall notify the common council of such removal. What is your feeling of when we might have to remove a member, but the mayor's not on board with it, but the council overall sees a need to do that? Should we do anything with language with that?
My assumption would be that it could be brought up in a council meeting and then we could vote on it, but I don't know if the language would support that. Cause it does sort of give the action to the mayor, right? Cause it just says shall notify the common council. But I agree that if we may ultimately make the appointments, then we should be able to say like, this isn't panning out the way we wanted, so maybe we should make something in there about.
I don't have a clean copy. By chance, do you have a clean copy?
I have one, I think.
I will digitally mark.
We have a spare.
Energize me.
No, it's not.
I will print you one.
Jeez. So that means I have two that I've been like.
Cause I just got thinking about like when we changed everything, it's with 100% with our approval, we cleaned that language up. But,
Oh, I think
but I don't think we ever did anything with the language on removing.
No. But ironically, that's the one that says shall notify the common council.
Kinda gotta think of that ripple effect a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point.
where are you reading from? She's printing a whole lot. This is the one.
Yeah,
This is the local law acts of 2023. So I do have it.
I marked mine up so bad now that.
How would we word that?
If you can get 5 members to go along with you.
Much wording. What are you thinking? Just adding another sentence?
Just like add like another sentence or like a sub.
I have.
You found it?
Oh, I didn't want the. Oh my god. Not just this one.
Just be sure to hit print.
Yeah, I found a local law that when we. So we're looking at adding a sentence to this then. That, where the majority of the council could move forward a removal of a board, or of a member of a board or commission.
Yeah. We could say, sorry, I feel like I have an idea where it's sort of like, you know.
No?
Let me, stir it around in the pot a little bit.
Well, we got, the mayor may remove a mayoral appointee to any board or commission and shall notify the common council of such removal. And we could put something that the common council by majority. Yeah,
Just might be an unpopular opinion, but you may want to confer with the city attorney. The statement's not an exclusionary statement. It's not limiting the power to the mayor. It's just granting that authority to the mayor as well. So the council with 5 members of the 8 would be able to remove that person because they took the action to appoint them.
Yeah.
So it just, before we change or you change, it might be worth speaking to the attorney.
So it's a given because the council approved it that they would have the ability to remove it.
With 5 of 8. I mean, if you look at it, the council has the ultimate authority.
Absolutely.
With 5 members, I mean, you can, Dave says if you can count 5, you can do anything. So,
yeah, I mean, we can ask him, I mean, the whole reason we got here was because we had that whole little debate whether council had the authority to do something or not do something. So,
That makes sense. I'm just thinking too, where does it say? Under terms of office. Sorry, I lost it because I'm.
is that C-17 you're talking about?
It just says. Me? Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
Sorry.
sorry.
Lost here. No. I'm just looking at kind of like, I guess, model language under C-20, terms of office for appointed officers. It says an appointed officer may be removed at any time with or without cause by the appointment of a successor, but we could say like, you know, by a majority vote of the common council or something like that. Just to make it really clear. But I agree, I mean, if you look at Article 4, legislative branch, like C-31 is pretty legit in terms of, arguments you could make about the authority of the council to do on any number of things.
Okay, above C-20 is subsection D, other city offices. It actually says suspension from office by the common council. So maybe to your point, the ability to do is between what the clerk is saying and that verbiage right there.
Yeah, but then it says though that the city administrator shall appoint. So would that fall in underneath that? we can always invite our city attorney to our next meeting and we can discuss that. That might be the easiest way.
Yeah.
And ask him how all that would work.
Quick question, on the front of this, would we ever say amended and give the date?
It's the updated date, yeah. The bottom of that should say, I think, December of 20,
It just says effective February 2nd of 2022,
so that's the last time that one was updated.
but it has the newest language that we passed.
It shouldn't.
Okay.
If it does, then I need to fix that.
Yeah, mine's December 20th, 2020, I'm working off of.
This one's February 2nd, 2022.
Right, the one that was printed and handed out to everybody to use has the February 22 date on it.
Yeah, and that's prior to any changes.
Yeah.
Let's look at this view.
Blue copy is the iteration beforehand.
Yeah, I'm using my actual one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I go back and say, what did we change and what didn't? Because I marked up this one.
Yeah, it's handy to be able to see.
So I'm gonna say, let's see if a city attorney can come to the next one. We can ask how all that can work.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Because I'm, you know, and I think that's gonna kind of fall in line with this, trying to streamline hiring positions as well. Because like in, to Len's point on C20 above, it says, you know, the common council or any, and all that can discharge, then the city administrator appoints suitable person, so.
So then, Carrie, you're saying we would hold until when to put out the new language then?
So as each one gets officially passed and signed into law, we're going to update. We're not gonna do a big batch print until it's completely done. It'll still be available for those that want it. And you guys will get updated copies. But we're not, I mean, we print about 100 of them every time it's updated.
Oh, okay. Now 101.
101.
Sorry, I just want to anticipate, so.
That's a lot of trees.
Take it out of my salary.
You're donating them at this point.
I'll bring it, bring it up here.
Alright, so hold off. I mean, term limits, I think we're pretty much done with, except for this, we're gonna send this one up. We'll put on that, I gotta write this note down before I forget. Removal. Commissioners, ask the attorney to come. About that. Alright. So streamline hiring process. Kind of been giving this a little bit of thought. And to streamline the hiring process, I'm wondering if we really have to put this in the charter, or if this is just something we can do a resolution at the council. Versus putting it in the charter.
How does that, how do you envision that going? Like, is that something then that we'd have to do annually?
I wouldn't think so. I think we could do it one time,
Okay.
give the city administrator and to any budgeted position. I mean, we can work on the language here and send it up, I just don't know if it would have to be a charter change.
Yeah.
Or do you want that in the charter and then,
I mean, I think last time the question that was really hanging us up was, how do we define levels of supervision that we want to have more input on, and what does that input look like? So I think we would have to do that, whether it's a resolution or the charter, so maybe we can start there. I mean, I don't know how, I don't feel strongly one way or another about putting it in the charter or the resolution, or doing a resolution.
I mean, I would think we could work on the language here and try to come up with something. Greg, you got a feeling one way or the other?
As far as the first part about appointing filling vacancies that are included in the budget, I think right now the charter is not so specific to say that the council needs to pass a motion every time we hire an employee. But that's been our past practice. So I think you could, with a council resolution or just a statement in the budget, something like that, as a policy that that's how you can treat from now on, any vacant budget position can be just filled.
Okay.
I think as long as there's a shared understanding as to how that's going to work. Right now, it's not defined anywhere. It's just how we will do that.
Right.
So I don't know that it has to be the charter that specific. Right now, it says shall appoint all employees of the city to go to the common council, except as provided in the license charter looks like the law.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of arguments that are gonna come back at us, and one of them, when we set the budget, we define the positions that are there, so like if we come into an issue where we can unfund a position, we still retain that power. I'm just trying to think of arguments that'll come back. I know it's not really, just trying to make it a little bit quicker, a little bit easier. Joe, you got any opinion?
Which part? Sorry.
About if a budgeted position's already in there? We're trying to streamline the hiring process for.
Yeah, I watched the
Stuff like
discussion at
that.
the last meeting. I guess what I'm not familiar with, and forgive me, I don't know, can I ask, is it okay? if
You
I
can
ask
ask any question you want, it's okay.
Just to kind of get a better understanding, because I haven't seen every meeting that you guys have had, I apologize. But just, I don't know, maybe just quickly, if you can just explain your process for going through so I understand where you're coming from, because I don't know, is this something that you had previously identified? Is this just because this is just a section that you came upon next, like?
What we're doing is,
And I'm sorry, Scott, just to give you context for why I'm asking, I guess, if you identified it as a problem, I guess, what problem did you currently identify that you're trying to now fix?
well, what we're
That
trying
makes
to,
sense.
the problem that we identified is kind of what like Greg and you and Chris have said when you're trying to hire the DPW workers, and the fact that gotta come in front of us and you're waiting to do the appointment, and like we had that one meeting where we didn't have a quorum and it got pushed, the poor person got pushed, what, almost 4 weeks out before they could start. So we're trying to bring in those entry level positions quicker. So we're more, yeah, sorry, my brain just went, but, so we're more competitive, more, you know, like if we find a person, you guys go through the interview process, yes, we want this person, boom, we can, so we're not losing them to another private company or something like that, where they still have time to look because they're waiting to come in front of us to be hired.
Okay.
So that's really what, you know, we were listening to that whole thing. So,
So, I guess then, I mean, it sounds like though you're talking about other pieces of this or other parts or maybe even other duties of people, whether it's the administrator or the council or whoever, correct? Am I understanding correctly?
I guess I'm not understanding your question. We're looking at what?
Well, it sounds like, so you're talking about for just staff people?
Yeah, there are layers.
Yeah, there's gonna be
Right.
layers.
If there is a budgeted vacant position, so our general idea, shared idea here is that if there's a budgeted vacant position that is below a department head level, that we would like that to not have to go through the finance committee. Does it still go to council? I guess I'm fuzzy on that part.
Great. No, it wouldn't go to council. They could hire the entry level. All we would ask is that, you know, the city administrator would let us know
Oh, yeah, like in your.
whether
report.
it's quarterly, annually, or during his report that, you know, we were able to find somebody and,
So there is
So-
like a layer to it.
So if I'm understanding, I just pulled it up, sorry, just so I can reference it appropriately. So I'm under C16, city administrator, C, powers and duties.
Yep.
3, shall appoint all employees of the city with the approval of the common council except as provided otherwise in charter. That's kind of where you're
Mhm.
targeting?
Yes.
Okay, so, yeah, I mean, I guess, I do think the example you brought up about the lack of quorum and pushing, I think that is unusual. But there are certainly other times when we have like that extra week at the end of the month where it just pushes things out a little more as far as getting back to committee or council or whatnot. So there are some times where there impacts us. I think there's, you know, I think there is benefit to having the ability to act a little more nimbly as a government. I think there's been other discussions, maybe not on this topic specifically, but about kind of the speed at which government works, and it sounds like this is something you're targeting to address that. I think it would help. I mean, we've had positions where we're moving forward relatively quickly in a sense of, you know, it was discussed in committee 1 week because we had the appointment, went to council the next week. In between the committee and the council, the person withdrew because I'm not sure why. But I think that's unique too. I don't want to say that's like a common issue we're having. So I think from the perspective of, you know, being able to more nimbly react to, you know, appointments and needs, you know, I mean, sometimes it does make a difference, like getting someone in either for the additional training so they're ready to go when something else happens. I mean, sometimes those weeks can make a difference because DPW, for example, you know, we're pretty low staffed right now heading into the summer season, and we're trying to find people and we're trying to, you know, fill those things up. So this is a time when, as an example, when that probably would have more impact, you know. I think as we move forward, I think Greg's probably, I don't want to speak for him, but my impression is that, you know, I think he's trying to get things so that we don't have that kind of lower staffing levels so that we can be more fully staffed, so we can attract good candidates, and we hopefully the speed becomes less of an issue in the future, but there's always situations where I think it'll be beneficial. So, yeah, I mean, from the perspective of having the ability to do it, I think it sounds like, you know, a good goal to have. And if I'm understanding it correctly, I think the wording in there kind of prohibits that currently because it does specify that common council approves it. It doesn't specify how, so I don't know if there's, you know, a mechanism where it's I don't know, that's an attorney question
Well,
too.
I'm wondering, again, yes, like we can check with the merger as well, but if there were just another motion or budget's adopted, or part of the budget adoption motion, that just clarifies that the vacant positions funded in this, as they go vacant, they may be filled. Authorizes the city administrator to fill budgeted positions. As simple as that, something like that.
Cool, yeah, that's kind of a nice solution. Can I throw out some language and see what you think? Okay, 3, right, shall make appointments to, I mean, this may be a little wordy, but shall make appointments to fill all vacancies funded with the approval of the common council during the annual budget process, except department heads as defined in Article 6 of this charter or by applicable law.
Because I can't remember it.
That's right.
So Article 6, defines all of the departments in the city, they're correct, we should probably look at them after this. But the very first bullet for all of those is, this is the department, it's led by a department head. I know, the only thing maybe with that, Greg, is you had said that since they do change,
The term, or the title, name, could be changed, but the definition of which, recognizing the top of the pile, would still represent the head of which shall be the,
yeah.
fill in the new words.
And you could always very easily change that, you know, I know we want the planning department, that'll have to have a charter change, so then, you know, we can say the planning department or whatever, you know, when you update the title, you could just update the.
Yeah, I don't know,
Subsection.
to what extent do departments need to be listed in the charter? I don't know
Right.
if there's a requirement for that. When the budget is adopted, the council is adopted with all the positions, the number of positions in each title is listed in departments. If you were to adopt a budget that included a new department that didn't exist last year, and you're creating this year, and you're funding it and establishing positions within it, is that the creation of a new department, or does it need to be also a charter change? Obviously, you have to fund it. That's just a general question.
Yes and yes,
Yeah, I was gonna say all the above.
yes and yes. You're creating a new department,
Yeah.
So it has to be in
and
the
you
charter.
have to get a charter change.
According to, maybe I don't understand, but according to
I mean,
just the fact that our charter currently has departments listed in it, or?
Because all of our departments has administrative departments, yeah.
so
Which-
one thing I'll say that is that like, as a citizen, I think it's helpful to have this in there, like, because you may not know what services are there, what exactly, you know, this department does, or whatever. Like, in fact, I would love to flesh out police and fire just a little bit, cause all it says is the head of which is like, yeah, we know that. So I think it's helpful, it's a helpful public document in that way, like this section in particular.
I also think it provides a level of, like a safety net too, that a council can't just go through and say, well, you know, we're gonna have a police department, but we're not gonna have a chief because we're worried, you know, because we're in a financial issue, so we gotta put a chief back in, you know.
That's a good point, like if you look at what the roles are and we consider, you know, we need to make sure that we are funding departments appropriately to be able to fulfill the role, you know, as defined by the charter. So I think that's a really good point, actually. Otherwise, I actually like I'm surprised.
Once in a while, I have a good.
Sorry.
It's all right. So I mean, I wouldn't want to take the departments out of here, but I also think that as we create a department, it also is important to put it in here as well. Because I think that makes us all work together. so. Doesn't mean we can't like fine tune and like if we took two departments and we combine them or whatever, we can, you know, no matter what at the end of, you know, one of my recommendations is always gonna be to the mayor is, I think the charter review committee should be a committee that's there all year, whether you adjourn it all the time or not. It maybe just be like maybe quarterly or something like that, to make sure that this is as fluid as we can be. It's a document that's gotta change, so like if we can get to the future, we might be able to change this as we're getting ready to do, you know, if we're gonna combine two departments or we do something else with a department or something like that, so,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I like that idea. Just to look for things too that maybe have changed, like, for example, personnel team resources, you know, just to notice those things and be able to help facilitate this being like up to date. But I like that.
Greg, are you saying
So
we
change like that.
to redefine any of these departments?
We don't have a department of engineering, an office of engineering, I would say, within the Department of Public Works, which is not defined
Right,
At all, I don't believe, right?
No.
It refers to the Department of Public Service, so it's not even defined.
but it does say,
Yeah.
it does say, shall be responsible for the administrating of the following departments, and then it kind of goes on to the other stuff.
Yeah, we don't have a Department of Law, technically, probably, if you read that, it probably works the way it is, it's true that.
Yeah, the assessor too is now appointed, I noticed.
Yeah, I mean, not to mince words, but I mean, when you look at an organizational structure and offices versus departments, like sometimes some of these don't really make sense, but, again, none of them are, affecting the actual operations of the city, which I think is why it's been this way and hasn't come up needing change till we started looking at it.
No.
so. So we're gonna have to do some changing on these to bring them up to. Really, just a name change, Greg, is most of it?
I'd have to just spend some time thinking about it. I mean, I don't believe there's any mention of code enforcement.
I think so.
Where is that under Department of Engineering?
Maybe under there.
I don't see codes in here.
Yes, under Department of Engineering, it lists all the departments, and then under Department of Engineering says Director of Engineering, which has never existed, as far as I know, that title specifically, or hasn't, as far back as I can see, maybe 30 years ago. But that Director of Engineering shall be responsible for the administration of the following departments, and then it lists Public Service, Engineering, Wastewater Treatment, Water Treatment, and Code Enforcement, as well as the supervision and maintenance of city parks, buildings, facilities, which I gather from that statement are not part of a department, just the way it's written. So you've got departments within departments,
That aren't currently.
sort of a Russian doll of departments. So I mean, I think you could really go through and spend a lot of time on it, if you wanted to.
First definition in this section, C48, says the common council may establish or abolish city departments, offices, or agencies in addition to those created by this charter, and may prescribe the functions of all departments, offices, and agencies. So
So
if we need to clean this up, I guess we can get it cleaned up.
That, I guess it begs the question, if the council may establish or abolish city departments, office agents, in addition to those created by the charter, that implies that there can be departments that are not listed in the charter that the council can create or abolish at any time. So what differentiates a charter
Yeah, where would you
defined
put that too?
department
Like
versus
when you said that earlier, I was like, where are we gonna put that? Where would it go?
where would it go? I mean, there are some boards and commissions that are described in the code, not in, they're maybe mentioned in the charter, but they're not, they don't have their own section. I don't really understand the rhyme or reason of that, but another question maybe for our
I've
city.
ever identified that before. Can you remember what they are? But not for tonight. I mean, we're running out of time, but maybe this is another section though to identify, cause I'm with Katie that there's no definition of the police department or the fire department. That's a little concerning to me.
Yeah, cause really we could have it cheap but no department.
And still have a department according to this.
There's a chapter 56 of the code, fire department. No, that's C56, that is the charter, sorry.
Oh, to what's been codified?
Yeah, but
There's section 45-5 refers to residency requirements of fire department members. So there's a lot of different references throughout the code to what the duties of different offices and departments are. It's not all captured in the charter.
so let's,
I guess that gives us an opportunity to clean that up.
I assume that the idea of the charter being less detailed is that it's not something that's intended to be changed as often. The other code sections maybe change more, I don't know.
so let's,
Yeah, but as you pointed out, the structure of DPS is different than what's listed in this charter substantially.
so for the next meeting, do we wanna start looking at the departments, cause it's gonna go with the, streamline processes. It's kinda tying in, it's,
Yeah, I mean, Katie did some wordsmithing.
yeah, it's
And I
very good.
I think we're really close on that.
Yeah, we'll just
Oh, what's the next thing?
do it on the
I
next
just wouldn't
meeting.
say the word all. I think that's, you came out and said all.
Two or three words in.
Okay, yes. Where am
Well,
I?
We'll hire all.
Yeah, it does say fill all vacancies. Fill each vacancy funded.
Each funded vacancy,
Yeah.
Right.
But then it says.
each
except-
budgeted vacancy maybe.
Yeah. Okay, fill each budgeted vacancy during, with the approval of the common council during the annual budget process. It's still clunky.
Do you have to have that in there about the budget process? Because, meaning the budget is passed, he now has a document to work with. We have a document to work in.
Right.
As long as it's a budgeted vacant position.
Okay,
If you pass the budget on December, whatever day it is, the next motion after adoption of the budget could be, or maybe it's part of that, the council hereby authorizes city administrator to fill
Budgeted vacant positions.
budgeted positions budgeted within the
2024 preliminary budget as adopted on date. And it's referencing that specific document, so you refer to that document, see what positions were budgeted. And I vote. Something like that.
yeah,
That makes sense, Joe?
I have that written down here.
So maybe we can work on that, get it cleaned up a little bit, and then maybe have some ready to go for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so for the next meeting, we'll do that. I didn't write down what you had, so I'll have to ask you to send it to me. We'll work on that, try to get that to the city attorney. We're gonna send up this other one to the council. And then we'll, the next meeting, also take a look at our departments as they are in the charter. Start working on those, getting those cleaned up. So that we have the other part of your thing about department heads. So, sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Anything else, anybody else would like to bring up?
Today.
All right, then